So I made it to the ports finally. I'm an hour early for my appointment, so I'm just waiting outside before my time to enter. And while I have this free time, I guess I'll give y'all some hints on how to become an owner operator. Now, it's not a difficult process, but the first thing I would say to anyone that's gonna try to become an owner operator, first things first, my opinion, is get some experience. I wouldn't suggest anyone fresh out of CDL school to just go out and buy a truck and go to run the roads, because experience is the key to succeeding out here, in my opinion. Get you some experience, learn to really understand the road and driving and a big company's truck before you go out and purchase your own truck. That way you'll know what to look for when something breaks. You'll have better skills at driving, so you can also prevent damaging your own equipment. Hence, I say go out and get some experience. Me, I like to say go ahead and get you at least a year, 6 months to a year, but preferably a year, in my opinion. Now, for those that have the experience and are thinking, hey, I want to transition from being a company driver to being an owner operator, first things first, do your research. What kind of lane are you looking to run? Are you going to go out and get your authority? Are you going to go out and lease onto a company? Like I say, do your research and figure out what type of lane you're going to run. Now, with that being said, once you figure out what you're going to do, if you're going to go ahead and go get your own authority, there's another step for that. But let me talk to the people first that are going to go lease on, as I am. Now, you figure you're going to go lease onto a company. You contacted this company. They said they tell you exactly what you need to run freight for them. Once you figure that, I say, the true first step, have you an LLC. Get you an LLC, structure your business right. There's a lot of guys that they get their trucks and they don't even register a business because they're going to lease on. They go ahead and they just run as a sole proprietor, which, it's fine. But when it comes tax time, you definitely want to have you an LLC. And when you're driving these trucks, that LLC separates the trucking from your personal affairs. So God forbid anything happens in the truck, it cannot tie it back to your personal affairs. So definitely go ahead and set you up an LLC and speak to a tax professional about how you should structure that LLC. You got that LLC set up, it's going to be fresh, so obviously you won't have any business credit, but you could definitely get a truck. You could go speak to these dealers. You can get you a truck using your personal credit as a guarantee. So you go out, you got your LLC, now you go try to find you a truck. Because already, at this point, you already know where you're going to put your truck. You already know what company you're going to put your truck on. You already made contacts with them. So now you got to go out there, go get you a truck. It's simple. Find you a truck, find you financing for the truck. If you got cash to pay for that truck, cash, kudos to you. But you go ahead, you find you a truck. Once you find that truck, big tip. Do not rush to buy that truck. Check that truck out. Check out multiple trucks. Test drive the truck a couple times. And if it's possible, see if you can get a trailer hooked up to that truck and drive it for about half hour. These dealerships, they will let you drive the trucks and they will let you check the trucks out, because they know if you're going to buy this type of equipment, it's definitely going to need to check it out to make sure everything is good on that truck. And the best you can check that truck out, the better situation you're going to be in once you get on down the road. Now, that's for the people that are going to lease on. It's a pretty simple process, my opinion, in becoming an owner operator. Like for myself, I'm leased on to a company that runs the ports. Before I even bought my truck, the first thing I did was 6 months prior, I already had the plan to jump out here and do my own thing. So I started my LLC, structured it the way I wanted to for tax purposes, and started building business credit. And then from there, I contacted this company, spoke with their recruiting department, figured what they needed from me, what the pay was going to look like, and they offered insurance. So I didn't have to go get my own insurance for the truck because their insurance was a lot cheaper, running under their authority. So now, signed up with them, got approved to be a contractor. Then I went out and bought a truck. Actually, they directed me to a dealer they work with quite often, and spoke with that dealer, spoke with 3 other dealers, and in fact, their dealer was giving me a better down payment and better price for my truck compared to all other dealers I spoke to independently. So, I went out, checked my truck out, and it worked out. It definitely worked out for me. And all that whole process was done within, from the moment I spoke to this company to the moment I actually signed on with them. It took me, I want to say roughly about a month and a half. And that was all in part due to the fact that the truck that I got, which is my truck now, Big Red, they were waiting on this truck to come in. And I started last year at around the time when the trucking market was really, really bad, where you couldn't find any used trucks because so many people were just jumping into the field. And, if that was any other time, it would be quicker. And for me, I had a specific price point in which I wanted to buy my truck. I didn't have unlimited funds or that much capital that I could use to get a truck. So it kind of hindered me, and I was kind of forced to have to wait for this truck. Now, a couple friends of mine, they signed up with the same company, and their process was a lot quicker. They were in the door in 2 weeks because their trucks were already at the dealers. They were in better positions to get, trucks that were readily available. And for them to lease on to this company took them 2 weeks, as opposed to me that it took me a month and a half. So that's why I say when you're, leasing onto a company as an owner-operator, the process could be a lot faster. Now, when it comes to being an owner-operator with your own operating authority, that process could be a little more extensive as well as expensive. Let me stress that enough. It can be expensive, very expensive. Now, when you're getting your own operating authority, same situation as leasing on. You want to structure your business. You want to get you an LLC or S Corp, however you feel would work for you as far as your business is concerned. But you definitely want to register your business. Now, with the operating authority, it's a little bit different stepwise, because you're going to have to register with the FMCSA. And before you do that, I would suggest to anyone, before they go spend that $300 on that application, get you an insurance quote. Shop around. Find out how much it's going to be to have your authority insured. And, for me, I went that route to get a quote due to the fact that I had at the time less than 2 years experience. Hence why I say get experience. One insurance company quoted me $3,000 a month, to be exact, $3,300 a month to have my own authority. And I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a lot of money, and that's without putting a down payment on a truck and and having a little bit of money put away in case something goes wrong. So I was just like, okay, that's a little hefty price there. So, my suggestion, get you an insurance quote first. If it's something that you can do, you move on to the next step. You put the application in for the FMCSA. it takes roughly, I want to say, 3 weeks before your authority goes active. During that time, you could wait it out. Wait till about the 17th day from the day you put in the application to make that down payment on your insurance, which typically, if I'm not mistaken, they ask for 10% of whatever the yearly premium is, or something like that. Don't quote me on it, but I think it was like 10%. I know when I put the quote in, they wanted like $8,000 down, and it was gonna be like $3,300 a month after everything. So I would have to look back on those numbers and confirm. But yeah, so you're putting a down payment on that authority, is insurance. Then you gotta think about, if you don't have a truck, then that's another down payment you gotta put. So already you're looking at about, out the door, roughly $20,000 just to get your own authority and become a full operating motor carrier, 100% independence. Now, when that 17th day come, you go ahead, you activate that insurance, make that down payment, get it going. Your insurance company sends it to the FMCSA. By day 21, you are a legal motor carrier that can book freight for hire in the United States. Now, at that point, you should already have your truck ready to go, decals on, registered. Now, when you have your own authority, unfortunately, let me backtrack a little bit. Your truck may not be registered at this point due to the fact that the IRP, you need an active authority in order to register your truck with the IRP, which, they're the ones that get you the portion plates that you can travel state to state. And basically, when you pay their fees, it gives you the authority to haul freight across state lines. Now, keep in mind, at this point, you've already spent 3 weeks waiting for your authority to go active with, let's say, about $10,000 down on the insurance. Now your authority is active. You done spent another $10,000 down on your truck, which now you're $20,000 in the hole, and 3 weeks sitting. Your authority is active. You go down to the IRP office in your, whatever state you're in. You go down to your local IRP office. You go put your necessary paperwork in. Now, their process takes about I know where I am, it takes about 2 weeks. A week for them to process all the paperwork, send it back to you with the bill of what you got to pay them, which is roughly somewhere between $1,200 to $1,700. So now you're up, almost $22,000 into your own authority. And after that week, they send you that bill, you pay it. A week later, they send you your plates. So with your own authority, you're more money out of pocket and a lot more waiting in order to start running, as opposed to leasing onto a company. You can get going in a matter of, if you have a truck already, a matter of days to weeks, compared to damn near 2 months. You know what I mean? But the key difference is in having your own authority and leasing onto someone. When you lease onto a company, you're running their loads. They assign you the loads, they dispatch you in most cases, and they take a percentage. So typically, in most scenarios, when you're leased onto a company, you'll probably get about 70% of what the load pays. In other cases, it's just a flat rate pay for the load, and then they offer you insurance and all that stuff, and you pay your deductibles on a weekly basis. They settle out with you weekly, but it still pays well. I'll give you guys an example. my situation versus a friend of mine that he has his own authority, and I'll let you guys decide. Now, I'm leased onto this company, and my loads, I run a dedicated lane. I'm home every day. I'm not forced dispatch, so if they give me a load I don't want to take, I don't have to take it. Based on my contract, I have 30 days in which I can stay home without working before they cancel my contract, because I am a contractor. I am contracted to these people, and they expect me to run loads for them, so they give me 30 days where I can just sit at home doing nothing if I wanted to, before they can basically void out my contract. With that being said, for one, I've been getting pretty consistent work for what's going on in the trucking industry. I've been getting consistent work, and compared to my buddy, he has a fresh authority. I think his authority is about 3-4 months old. There are days where he's at home sitting, not doing anything, and he's trying to figure out loads. That right there is just like, that's for me a red flag already. Second, for all the insurance I pay on my truck with this company, for physical damage, bobtail, and occupational insurance, workers' comp, what you need, I pay $250 a month when it's all said and done. $250 a month. Like, you can't beat that. So, with that being said, compared to my friend with the authority, he's paying about $2,500 a month. So, when you do the math, you're like, wow, he's paying 10 times more. Now, I know most of you are thinking like, yeah, if he might be paying more, but he's making more. Now, we actually had a conversation, and he was breaking down what he was making on a week-to-week basis. And me, I don't really like to share too much on what I make, but he has an idea because he used to run for this company as well. Now, when we had that conversation, this man with his own authority, compared to me who's leased on and have a little bit less overhead, he's probably making about $1,500 more a week than me. $1,500 more a week. He spends probably $1,000 more in diesel a week than I do, because he runs further. I just do roughly 300 miles a day. When I work, I do 300 miles a day. Costs me about $250 in diesel to run those miles. And he's sitting there, he's like, yeah, well, I make X amount, and I'm a numbers guy. When I ran the numbers and think about it, based on how the market is now, me, a person that's leased onto a larger company, versus him with his own authority that he can run how he wants, I virtually come out on top better than he does. Not only do I get more consistent work and I have less overhead, which allows me to take home more money, but I also have more home time. You know what I mean? Yes, he does have the ability to make more money if he runs a little bit harder, but when you compare how he has to run, put wear and tear on his truck, take time away from his family versus what I do, at this point, I personally don't think it's worth starting an authority. If you could find a decent company to lease onto that can get you some money, on a consistent basis. So, just some food for thought while I'm out here waiting. Now, anybody got any questions? Anybody want, ask me anything about how to get into this owner-operator game? Jump in the comment section. As you can see, I'm very responsive. This is not a large channel. I really just want to help my fellow truckers succeed. Even if you're a company driver, if you you're looking to make a switch from one company to a next. You know, I've been out here a few years. I got some knowledge. I've been doing research. I'm still doing research. And if I don't know something, I will do my hardest to go get the information, research it, and get back to you. Because I think as truckers, we're a community that no one understands unless they're in the industry, you know? Unless you're in the transportation industry, you just do not understand what another trucker goes through. So I want y'all to go ahead, like, comment, subscribe to the channel, show me some love. You know, if you feel like the information I'm giving you is valuable, just show some support, and I'm gonna just keep them coming. Out here in the ports, I get some downtime, as y'all seen in my last few videos. Is either I had a later appointment that I was early for, or I'm in the port just waiting to get loaded. So I'm gonna make it my duty to try to pick up this camera and talk to y'all a little bit more. I'm gonna start figuring out how to make some more content in the port so y'all can see what goes on in there. But for now, this is the All-Star Transporter. Y'all go ahead, y'all be safe, y'all turn them wheels, make these miles, let's make some money, and most of all, be safe. Appreciate y'all.